Howdy, WAF guy here with WAF Logic, back again with our next video in our WAF Life series. So that was a bit of a delay, and apologies for the wait for this video, but projects do take precedence over our free media education efforts. And after all, the world is always on fire in the WAF life. It's called the firewall for a reason. Now today in our video, zero-day mitigation, WAF Beat Down Story, we're going to demonstrate how to build an advanced WAF policy and even prevent some 0 days for ever and a day. We'll focus on mitigating the DVWA or damn vulnerable web app so it ain't so damn vulnerable anymore. Well, at least perceivably to the attacker, since we'll pretend this is our company's web app that's last updated in the summer of 1998, but must remain live and can't be fixed or patched because of reasons. Business always supersedes security at least for now. Now, to add a little extra spice to it all, I'll actually be disabling the attack signatures or rules, as some other WAFs will call them, so we can demonstrate with proper controls, it is actually possible to mitigate many to most, and sometimes all, potential attacks with the right policy. Now, there certainly are limitations, but where there is a will, there might be a way, especially with F5 and 9 rules. Now, it is important to note that the robust features I'll be presenting today are specific to F5 ASM and Advanced WAF. All the other WAFs have a much more limited capability to provide these mitigations, if it's even possible, especially if cost versus security has to be considered. That could be dangerous. But a great example would be AWS and Azure, since these mitigation or zero-day controls I'll demonstrate cannot be done without very expensive regular expression-based rules. Now, even if you can get close, you will pay a hefty computation fee to get the job done. Versus F5, this is just kind of out of the box, the package that you pay for. It's just basics, and ideally should be. AWS and Azure's capabilities, versus cost here is kind of like paying $20 for filtered municipal water. That's pretty sad, but it's actually a fair comparison. Now, this becomes more financially dangerous with AWS and Azure if you have to mitigate a true 0 day before the managed rules includes a solution. Bash Shell Shock is a great example from back in the day because there actually was nothing at that time. We had to create stuff until the vendors created one for us. Now, this is very important consideration when choosing a cloud-based solution with a CPU, RAM, and throughput cost model, which is 100% unpredictable, versus your normal, all-inclusive, very predictable cost model for a security product outside of, things like subscription-based services, maybe like IP intelligence or something like that. Now, in our last video set, part 1 and 2 of chapter 2, WAF logging and all your database are belong to us, we showed a database exfiltration successfully performed, and in our case, we leveraged the WAF to provide the detection, however, no mitigation. The intent was to essentially show the WAF could have done, and more so for educational intent, to provide us the logs without mitigating the attack so we could perform our security analytics so we could do our WAF stuff. Now, additionally, this is a legitimate scenario in the WAF life where one would start the evaluation of a WAF, often called a proof of concept or POC. Does it do anything? And does it do what we're buying it for? Now, there are two critical items any and all security technologies must provide. Number one, detection and or mitigation with adequate logging ability. And then number two, a simple, repeatable, predictable, very important process to handle false positives, because ideally they will happen. Now, number two is exceptionally important in the WAF life, because if you have a good WAF, it will produce false positives to some extent out of the box, which is why they require tuning and some advanced skills to manage them. Now, most security products are binary, ones and zeros, on or off, or allow or deny. Some technologies and or features have a more logic and or weight driven approach, but This also often includes what I refer to as I'm not sure logic. And the issue with I'm not sure logic is when a security technology is not sure, it tends to not log the event and certainly did not take any action. So if the single attack to steal everything and burn the entire company down to the ground is initiated and the I'm not sure logic kicks in, the attack is allowed and usually unlogged from the security perspective. So, I mean, because false positives are just too hard to handle. I certainly beg to differ, but that comes from a lot of experience and skills and just being able to manage those. So, to complicate that scenario a bit more, you as the analyst or engineer can go ahead and replay the attack, since somehow you magically discovered it through some other means. So you do, and you find it gets actually blocked since the I'm not sure logic saw that event twice now, but not in no other context. And now it's pretty sure or certain it's bad. So it blocks the analyst or engineer's attempt despite allowing the original attack through. Now, hopefully, you wonder why the WAF didn't have an event previously and consider the attack may have succeeded, so you dig further. But some folks would simply write it off as the WAF blocked it, so nothing to see here and move on. In our case, we know that it didn't for our mock scenario. But let's take a look at the true reality. Because the first attack was considered, I'm not sure, it was allowed. So now the damage is done and you have zero evidence since the WAF was your only detection point of a true attack since the web app is vulnerable in this scenario. So even if the attacker replays the attack again, which the WAF might block this time, they likely won't replay it since the damage is done and they already have what they came for. So the end result is you were 100% blind because of the I'm not sure logic. And now when you get to go ahead and attend your federal congressional court hearing and the Inquisition asks you, how did the attack occur? Well, your reply gets to be, I'm not sure as well. I don't think that hearing will be going very well for you. Now, with the ones and zeros standard approach, the attack would have been blocked in every single situation, unquestionably, if it was ever detectable at all to begin with. 100% predictable versus the I'm not sure logic, which is often proprietary, in other words, closed source design, essentially is fairly, if not completely unpredictable, thus significantly less reliable. So get on with it, all right? All right, sorry, we just had to get through the, we had to get through the shrubbery first to set us up for this series, but this one will be hands-on and hopefully a lot more fun. So how are we going to mitigate a 0-day with our awesome sauce WAF? We'll go ahead and start with SQL injection and kind of move on through DVWA, but here we go. Alrighty, here's damn vulnerable web app. Now, we presented the log exports in our last video for the database dump. We'll be protecting the vulnerabilities, the vulnerable parameters from that attack here. We'll also walk through most of the DVWA attack scenarios and provide protections with the WAF for each one. Brute force and capture require a different level of controls beyond the basic WAF. So we'll cover that in a future video, and we'll also be discussing our magic true DDoS solution project Bayou on that one.